Chosen one. You are not here by accident. The Spirit drew you to this moment because heaven is speaking directly to you. You are standing at the threshold of a supernatural shift, a divine wealth transfer that has already begun to move in your direction. What you survived was not ordinary pain. It was the marking of someone chosen, someone anointed, someone God is raising for a higher realm of authority. This is your appointed time. Just as Isaiah declared that no weapon formed shall prosper. The very attack that tried to break you has become the gateway to your elevation. Prepare your spirit. Something is about to be released over your life. Chosen one. Listen closely, because what I am about to speak is not commentary, not theory, not opinion. It is revelation. It is the kind of truth that does not come from studying people, but from surviving them. And if this word is reaching you right now, it is because heaven scheduled this moment long before you ever felt the sting of betrayal. Long before the humiliation ritual, long before the silent war against your identity, long before you even had the language to describe the pain you walked through. Chosen one. The first thing you must understand is this: your survival was not accidental. You did not make it through because you were strong. You made it through because something in you was anointed to outlive what was designed to erase you. What tried to break you did not know who it was touching. What tried to humiliate you did not know heaven had already marked you for elevation. What tried to bury your voice did not know God was using your silence as strategy. Yes, they wanted you to doubt your own reflection. They wanted you apologizing for being wounded. They wanted you questioning your worth, questioning your instincts, questioning your sanity. But what unsettles them most, chosen one, is that you did not collapse on cue. You did not give the breakdown they prayed for. You did not hand over your dignity like they expected. No, you discerned. And that sacred inner knowing, that spiritual radar, that quiet divine voice is what saved your life. Discernment is not something you learned. It is something heaven planted in you like a spiritual alarm system that activates whenever darkness tries to impersonate light. For others, intuition is a soft whisper. But for you, chosen one, discernment is a shield, a compass, a weapon. While they thought you were frozen in fear, you were reading the room. While they rehearsed their lies, you saw the cracks. While they disguised their hatred as concern, you saw the poison behind their smile. And let me tell you something from experience, because I have lived through this too, the kind of betrayal that doesn't shout, it whispers. The kind of humiliation that doesn't come from enemies, but from people you trusted with fragile parts of yourself. And I learned the hard way that sometimes God allows certain rooms to expose you, not so they can break you, but so you can finally see the truth of who sits in those rooms with you. Chosen one, the silence after your storm is not empty. It is charged, heavy, holy. You know that feeling, don't you? That strange stillness after you survived what should have taken you out. It feels like standing in the aftermath of a spiritual hurricane. The air feels different. Your eyes see differently. Your spirit is sharper, heavier, more aware. The people who tried to erase you can feel that shift. That is why they are uncomfortable now. That is why they avoid you. That is why they tiptoe around your name like it burns their tongue. Because when you survived what was supposed to destroy you, you didn't just come out alive. You came out awakened. And here is the prophetic truth. The humiliation ritual wasn't the end of your story. It was the end of theirs. It was the season finale of everything they tried to script for you. They expected you to disappear. They expected you to fold. They expected you to lose your mind. But instead, you renewed the show. Heaven renewed the show. And this time, the snakes aren't in the cast. Chosen one, hear me. The reason the ritual failed is because you were never the offering, you were the one being ordained. What they meant as humiliation became your initiation. What they framed as your downfall became the platform for your rise. And this is why heaven is speaking so strongly now. You are stepping into a divine reversal. You are stepping into supernatural compensation. You are stepping into a wealth transfer that is connected not to money but to justice, restoration, and spiritual authority. When God restores a chosen one, He never restores them to where they were. He restores them to where they should have been had the attack never happened. And this is the season where heaven is recalibrating your path. This is why everything feels different. This is why you feel a pull in your spirit. You are not just healing, you are ascending. You are entering a realm where everything taken from you must return multiplied. Chosen one. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear next will confirm what your spirit has been feeling for months. Chosen one, when you look back at what you survived, it becomes clear that the humiliation you endured was never random. It was a spiritual confrontation disguised as a human conflict. What they attempted to do to your image, your confidence, and your identity was only the surface layer of a much deeper battle. Behind their actions, there was a darker intention, one that sought to disconnect you from your power, your discernment, and your destiny. Yet even in the middle of that storm, something holy was happening. Heaven was not watching from a distance. Heaven was intervening, rearranging and protecting you in ways you couldn't yet see. The very ritual that was designed to break your spirit revealed something far more profound. You were never fighting for your reputation, chosen one. You were fighting for your future. And the moment you refused to collapse, something in the spiritual realm shifted. Every humiliation they attempted became a spotlight exposing their intentions, not yours. Every whisper against you became an echo revealing the truth of their character. Every attack on your identity became a mirror reflecting their insecurity. What they did not understand is that heaven never wastes suffering. When a humiliation ritual fails, a divine elevation begins. In the kingdom of God, endurance is a currency, and you paid a price that heaven is now preparing to multiply back into your life. That's why you've been sensing a shift, not just emotionally, but spiritually and even financially. It's because heaven compensates what hell tries to steal. Your pain became prophetic seed. Your tears became spiritual investment. Your silence became evidence of a discipline few people ever master. And heaven does not ignore evidence. Heaven responds to it. Many people will never know what it feels like to have those closest to them turn into sources of betrayal, but you do. There were moments when you questioned why love suddenly felt cold, why loyalty suddenly evaporated, why conversations shifted without explanation. I've lived through that too, and I remember the confusion, the feeling of standing in a room full of people, yet feeling spiritually alone. What I didn't know then, but understand now, is that God sometimes allows false relationships to fall apart dramatically so you never try to rebuild them again. A quiet separation would not have freed you. A silent exit would not have awakened you. So the exposure had to be loud. Chosen one. The humiliation wasn't punishment. It was divine surgery. It was God cutting away the people patterns and environments that could not enter the next chapter of your purpose. If God had allowed them to stay, they would have contaminated the blessing that is now approaching your life. They would have claimed credit for what heaven alone intended for you. They would have sabotaged the opportunities waiting in your path. So the separation had to be painful enough that you would never return to the old version of you. This is why what tried to destroy you has actually positioned you for a divine transfer. You didn't just walk out of that season with wounds, you walked out with wisdom. You didn't leave with shame, you left with sight. And that sight, that supernatural clarity, is now your qualification for the blessings ahead. Heaven cannot pour abundance into hands that trust too quickly or tolerate too deeply. Heaven elevates the ones who can discern. You earned that discernment through tears, through silence, through restraint, and through moments where you wanted to collapse but didn't. Now you are in a different spiritual category. Your discernment is no longer a whisper, it is guidance. Your intuition is no longer a warning, it is direction. You are not just seeing danger, you are seeing destiny. The eyes that once scanned for threats are now scanning for opportunities heaven has aligned for you. The same instinct that protected you from destruction will now lead you into increase. And that is why the people who once manipulated you can no longer reach you. They fear you now, not because you are dangerous, but because you see too clearly. They fear the version of you that survived. They fear the eyes that opened. They fear the spirit that awakened. And they fear the elevation that is coming. Heaven is preparing a transfer in your favor, not only financial, but spiritual, emotional, relational, and positional. What was meant to humiliate you is becoming the platform that lifts your name. What was meant to bury you is becoming the soil from which you rise. What was used to shame you is becoming the evidence that God never left you for a moment. Chosen one, you are stepping into a season where heaven compensates, restores, and promotes. Everything taken must return with interest. Everything lost must reappear in greater form. Everything stolen must be divinely replaced. You survived, not just to heal, you survived to ascend. Chosen one, now that the dust has settled, you are beginning to see something you could not see before. The ritual they orchestrated against you never had the power to define you. It only had the power to reveal you. And revelation is always uncomfortable, always disorienting, always disruptive, but it is also the doorway to transformation. What once felt like an emotional ambush is now becoming clear as a spiritual awakening. You're starting to realize that the spiritual sensitivity you carry, the ability to sense what others overlook, to feel the shift in the atmosphere before the storm arrives, was never a burden. It was your lifeline. It was the radar God placed inside you because He knew the environments you would walk through. He knew the traps that would be built with smiles. He knew the rooms you would enter where your name was already on the table before your feet crossed the threshold. And He knew the only way you would survive such places was through discernment, sharpened by experience. Discernment is not a talent. It is a spiritual inheritance, and yours was activated not by comfort, but by conflict. The very attacks meant to silence you became the training ground that refined your intuition to a supernatural level. While others learned discernment through advice or sermons, you learned it through fire. You learned it the way prophets learn, through betrayal that cracks open the spirit and forces the eyes to see beyond the surface. Through silence that pushes you into the arms of God, because no human voice could understand the weight you carried. Through humiliation that pulls away every illusion until only the truth remains. And now in hindsight, you see that every uncomfortable moment was creating an inner clarity that is nearly impossible to deceive. You can sense when someone's smile doesn't match their energy. You can feel the shift in someone's tone, even when their words stay polite. You pick up on hidden motives the way others pick up on obvious insults. You can read silence as easily as a conversation. This is not paranoia. This is prophetic sensitivity, and it saved your life. What was meant to destroy your spirit actually awakened it. This is why you now feel a kind of inner sharpness you did not have before, a knowing that doesn't require evidence, a confidence that doesn't need approval, a strength that doesn't depend on applause. Your spirit has matured into something divine, something powerful, something dangerous to the systems that once controlled you. The people who plotted your humiliation didn't just fail, they accidentally unlocked your next elevation. They awakened the very part of you God intended to use for your breakthrough. They triggered the spiritual maturity required for the blessing that is now on its way. And this blessing, chosen one, is not only spiritual, it is strategic, it is tangible, it is supernatural. You are standing in the early stages of a divine transfer. This transfer is not simply an influx of money, although financial increase is part of what heaven is preparing. It is a transfer of authority, of visibility, of influence, of spiritual weight. This is the moment where God begins to place into your hands what was always meant for you, but could not be released until you became the person capable of carrying it. Think of it this way: some blessings require not just preparation, but transformation. A promotion cannot be given to someone who is still trying to please the people who betrayed them. A financial opportunity cannot be assigned to someone who trusts anyone with a warm smile. A divine responsibility cannot be placed upon someone who still doubts their own voice. God had to purify the spaces around you before He could elevate you. He had to cleanse your circle before He could expand your territory. He had to reveal the snakes before He could give you the garden. This is why your isolation was so intense. This is why the betrayal felt so personal. This is why your humiliation felt so public. You were not being punished, you were being separated, set apart, sanctified for an assignment that requires spiritual intelligence and emotional precision. You are stepping into a realm where your discernment becomes your currency, your clarity becomes your protection, your past suffering becomes your authority. This is the season where opportunities begin to find you instead of you chasing them. This is the season where the no that once disappointed you is replaced by a yes that could only have come from heaven. This is the season where you stop surviving and start ascending. And, chosen one, the most powerful part is this: the same people who tried to humiliate you will be forced to witness your elevation. Not because you seek revenge, but because God uses visibility as vindication. When heaven promotes you, no lie can bury you. When God opens a door, no gossip can close it. When the divine transfer reaches you, no ritual, no matter how orchestrated or cruel, can stop the rise heaven ordained. You are no longer the version of yourself they tried to break. You are the version they feared would emerge. And this version, the awakened version, is the one God is going to trust with blessing, influence, and abundance. You went through humiliation, but you came out crowned. The next part will explain the purpose behind your spiritual separation and why heaven had to remove certain people before releasing your increase. Chosen one. One of the most misunderstood realities of your journey is this: the separation you experienced was not abandonment, it was orchestration. Heaven was not removing people from your life to punish you, but to protect what was growing inside you. There are callings that cannot bloom in contaminated soil. There are purposes that cannot share space with jealousy, manipulation, or spiritual interference. And there are destinies so significant that God must strip you of every counterfeit connection before He releases what is real. The humiliation they orchestrated was only the stage set for the deeper work heaven was doing, extracting you from relationships and environments that looked supportive but were secretly suffocating you. Sometimes God exposes people not because you asked, but because you didn't. You were still giving them the benefit of the doubt. You were still assuming the best. You were still trying to be loyal while they were trying to be lethal. So when the humiliation hit, it wasn't just betrayal, It was revelation. You saw colors that had been hiding behind kind words. You saw the truth behind forced smiles. You saw the shift in their eyes when your spirit walked into the room. That exposure was painful, but it was necessary. Heaven refused to let you carry hidden poison into your next chapter. You were being prepared for blessing, and blessing requires clean environments, clean motives, and clean relationships. Promotion cannot sit in the same room with hidden sabotage. Chosen. 1. This is why the separation felt so violent. Because it wasn't just God removing people, it was God removing access. He was shutting doors you didn't even realize were open. He was dismantling alliances that were quietly draining you. He was cutting spiritual ties that were influencing your emotions without your permission. And he was doing it all at once because your next level required a rapid purification. You may not realize it yet, but every person who left, every person who betrayed you, every person who humiliated you played a part in freeing your calling from interference. What looked like rejection was actually redirection. What looked like isolation was actually insulation. God hid you so your spirit could recover, so your mind could reset, and so your discernment could strengthen without interruption. I know from my own journey that divine separation rarely feels divine when it is happening. It feels like loss, like confusion, like heartbreak. I remember seasons when I begged God to explain why certain people walked away, why certain relationships collapsed suddenly, why loyalty turned to silence. But years later, I realized if those people had stayed, they would have destroyed what God was building in me. Sometimes the blessing is not who arrives. Sometimes the blessing is who leaves. Chosen one. Heaven did not separate you to make you lonely. Heaven separated you to make you ready. You were being refined for positions, platforms, and opportunities that require spiritual sharpness. You were being strengthened for a calling that cannot afford emotional blind spots. You were being elevated into a realm where discernment is not optional, it is survival. This is why God couldn't wait for you to figure it out on your own. This is why the exposure had to be loud and undeniable. Your heart is too loyal. Your nature is too forgiving. Your love runs too deep. God knew that if the separation wasn't sharp, you would have carried the wrong people into the right season, and they would have broken what heaven was trying to build. So the humiliation had to happen. The mask had to fall. The truth had to reveal itself. Not to embarrass you, but to free you. And now that you're looking at the situation from the other side, you can finally see the purpose behind the pain. You weren't just being isolated, you were being prepared. Prepared to receive blessings without sabotage. Prepared to receive abundance without manipulation. Prepared to receive opportunities without people who feel entitled to them. Your isolation was not emptiness. It was consecration. And now, chosen one, the separation is complete. The spiritual clutter has been removed. The interference has been silenced. And heaven is ready to release what has been waiting on the other side of your obedience. The next part will explain what this divine transfer actually looks like, how it manifests, and why the breakthrough coming to you is unlike anything you've experienced before. Chosen one, now that heaven has completed the separation and pulled you out of every place that could not honor you, we must look at what comes next, because you are no longer standing in the aftermath of a battle. You are standing in the doorway of a divine transfer. And this transfer is not symbolic. It is not theoretical. It is not abstract. It is real, tangible, measurable, and heaven-backed. A divine transfer happens when heaven decides that the weight of what you endured has reached its fullness, and now what was meant to harm you must be converted into what will elevate you. It is the spiritual law that turns humiliation into honor, betrayal into visibility, loss into increase. It is the moment when God says, "Enough." But before you see it in your hands, you must understand the depth of what is happening in your spirit. Divine transfers do not begin with money or opportunity, they begin with identity. Heaven restores your sense of self before it restores your circumstances. And right now, heaven is unveiling the version of you that humiliation tried to bury. This transfer begins the moment you realize that you are no longer living in reaction to what they did. You are now living in alignment with who God says you are. They targeted you because they sensed the glory on you before you sensed it yourself. They mocked you because they saw your potential before you recognized it. They tried to break you because your spirit bothered their demons. And now that your eyes are open, heaven can trust you with the weight that's coming, because you will no longer shrink in the presence of those who fear your anointing. Chosen. 1. This is the first sign of the divine transfer. Your confidence returns, but it returns wholly. Not arrogance, not pride, but a spiritual knowing, a quiet authority. The kind of inner strength that doesn't need validation because it is rooted in purpose. Once this settles in your spirit, heaven begins to shift the external world to match the internal transformation. And this is where the acceleration begins. Some of your blessings in this next season will come through sudden opportunities. Connections. You didn't ask for doors, you didn't knock on resources, you didn't chase. You will start to see divine alignment in your timing. You will find yourself in the right places without strategic planning. You will encounter people who speak your name in rooms you haven't entered yet. Your gifts will begin to attract what your prayers once chased. A divine transfer is always accompanied by divine visibility. There is a reason the enemy tried to humiliate you publicly, because heaven intends to honor you publicly. God restores in the measure you were attacked. Whatever was stripped from your reputation is about to be returned through influence, favor, and credibility that no human hand can challenge. This is why your spirit has been stirring. Something in you can feel the shift, even before your mind fully understands it. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this transfer is that heaven does not return things to the chosen one at the level they were taken. Heaven multiplies, heaven compounds, heaven increases. Your suffering has interest on it, your betrayal has interest on it, your humiliation has interest on it. Every tear is counted and heaven repays in ways that do not make sense mathematically. This is why the blessing coming to you will be larger than anything you felt worthy of. You are entering a season where you will look at what God delivers into your life and whisper, "This is more than I prayed for." Because when God restores, He does not restore to where you were, He restores to where you should have been had the attack never happened. And, chosen one, let this truth rest in your spirit. You are not stepping into blessing because you are lucky. You are stepping into blessing because you endured. The breakthrough attached to your name is not random, it is earned. It is spiritual compensation, the result of a battle you didn't choose but survived anyway. But understand, this divine transfer is also divine responsibility. God is putting influence, opportunity, and increase into your hands because He trusts you not to misuse it, not to waste it, not to give it to those who mocked your suffering. You were refined so you would know how to handle abundance without arrogance. You were humbled so you would know how to carry authority without cruelty. You were separated so you would never again confuse loyalty with access. Your past pain has become your spiritual education. Your future increase will become your spiritual assignment. You will be entrusted with blessings because you learned discernment. You will be entrusted with people because you learned boundaries. You will be entrusted with influence because you learned silence. God tested your heart in humiliation, and now God will reward your heart in elevation. Chosen one. The divine transfer has already begun. Every unseen shift, every closed door, every sudden separation has been part of the rearrangement. Heaven has positioned everything in your favor. The weight of what you went through is about to become the weight of glory resting on your life. Chosen one. Now that you understand the divine transfer that has begun, you must understand why the enemy struck when he did. Nothing in the spiritual realm is random. Darkness does not attack out of boredom. It attacks out of fear, and it attacks according to timing. Your humiliation ritual did not happen because you were weak. It happened because you were close to breakthrough, close to revelation, close to stepping into a version of yourself that hell could no longer manipulate. Spiritual attacks increase at the edge of elevation. Every chosen person in scripture history, and even in our own lived experiences, faced their greatest opposition right before their greatest rise. Why? Because darkness senses transition before the human mind does. Demons can feel when a chosen one is outgrowing old wounds. They can sense when your spirit is shifting into alignment. They know the signs of divine visitation, the restlessness, the separation, the clarity, the silence, the hunger for something more. And when you reached that point, the enemy panicked. That panic is what triggered their coordinated attack. The timing of your humiliation was not coincidence, it was strategy. They struck when they felt you awakening. They struck when they sensed you were starting to see them clearly. They struck when your discernment became too sharp for their control. They struck when your spirit started to rise above the emotional traps they used to pull you back into cycles. Chosen one. The moment you began stepping into your true identity, you became unmanageable to those who depended on your confusion. This is the moment the enemy chose to humiliate you publicly because private manipulation had stopped working. They needed a tactic that carried more weight, more shock, more emotional impact. They needed to destabilize your identity before your identity destabilized their entire system of control. But here is the prophetic truth. The timing of their attack aligned perfectly with the timing of your awakening. Heaven allowed it not to break you, but to reveal everything that needed to be removed before your elevation. If the attack had happened earlier, you would not have been ready for the revelation. If it had happened later, it would have interfered with the blessings now on their way. It happened at the precise spiritual moment when the exposure would hurt enough to detach you but not enough to destroy you. Heaven timed your humiliation to become your liberation. And that is why you are seeing signs now, signs that the warfare is lifting, signs that your spirit is lighter, signs that old patterns no longer pull you in, signs that you're thinking more clearly, seeing more deeply, moving more intentionally. These are not random improvements. They are indicators that the attack has expired and the breakthrough window has opened. Chosen one. Your breakthrough is arriving now because the spiritual landscape around you has been completely cleared. The enemy overplayed his hand. What he thought would collapse you ended up marking you. What he thought would silence you ended up sharpening you. What he intended as a trap, heaven has repurposed as a testimony. Your spirit is stronger now. Your mind is steadier. Your heart is guarded. You are no longer accessible to the things that once drained you. You no longer tolerate the environments that once suffocated you. You no longer believe the lies you once absorbed. The humiliation that was supposed to shrink you has instead expanded you. And this expansion is the reason heaven has chosen this exact season to release what was held back. You were not ready before, not because you weren't worthy, but because you were surrounded. Heaven could not give you elevation in an environment full of sabotage. God could not deliver abundance into hands that were still tied by loyalty to the wrong people. You had to be stripped, emptied, and isolated so that what comes next lands in purified territory. Now you are ready, fully, deeply, spiritually ready. The timing is perfect because you are finally aligned with what is meant for you. You are not desperate. You are not distracted. You are not spiritually blind. You are not entangled. You are not burdened by voices that don't belong in your destiny. You are awake, and heaven responds to the awakened. Chosen one. Now that the spiritual atmosphere around you has shifted, you must understand what is actually approaching you. Heaven does not clear your environment unless something wholly weighty and spiritually significant is being sent into your life. God does not allow unnecessary warfare. Every attack has a corresponding blessing. Every humiliation has a corresponding elevation. Every stripping has a corresponding restoration. Your discernment did more than save your life. It positioned you for divine delivery. The blessings coming toward you now are not small, random, or symbolic. They are structural, foundational, life-altering. They are not here to inspire you temporarily. They are here to rebuild you. Everything the humiliation ritual tried to collapse is exactly what heaven is preparing to strengthen. This is why the blessings arriving in this season carry a different texture. They feel heavier, more intentional, more precise. It's because heaven is giving you things meant to last, not temporary support, but permanent elevation. Not emotional comfort, but generational impact. So what exactly is coming? First, expect divine financial movement. You survived the attack that was designed to drain your resources, your hope, and your confidence. But because you stood firm, heaven is releasing what was withheld. Opportunities, provision, unexpected alignment, and supernatural assistance are moving toward you. Not because you chased them, but because you outgrew the places that resisted your blessing. Second, expect strategic relationships, not friends, not acquaintances, kingdom connections. People who carry keys to rooms you were always meant to enter. People who understand your anointing without needing explanations. People who don't sabotage your spirit, but amplify it. Heaven is not sending you a crowd. Heaven is sending you alignment. Third, expect clarity at a level you've never felt before. What once confused you will now be obvious. What once drained you will now repel you. What once attracted you will now be beneath you. This is the season where your inner radar speaks louder than any external voice. Clarity is the currency of destiny, and you are becoming wealthy in it. Fourth, expect divine rest. Not laziness, not escape, sacred rest. The kind that only comes when a spiritual cycle is complete. You have carried storms, battles, betrayals, and confusion for so long that you forgot what peace even feels like. But heaven didn't. Heaven kept track. Heaven remembered your endurance, and heaven is releasing rest as a reward. And finally, expect acceleration. You will not crawl out of this season. You will not rebuild slowly. You will not start from the bottom again. God is restoring you with speed because the delay was never your fault. The delay was the battle, and the moment the battle ended, the blessing was activated. Chosen one, listen closely. What is coming is not compensation. It is confirmation. Confirmation that you survived what was meant to destroy you. Confirmation that the ritual failed. Confirmation that discernment was not paranoia, but prophecy. confirmation that you are not ordinary, you are chosen. And now, heaven is responding accordingly. Chosen one. Now that heaven has revealed what is approaching you, there is one more truth your spirit must absorb. Your future does not look like your past. You are not returning to what broke you. You are not circling the same cycles. You are not repeating lessons that nearly cost you your soul. You have crossed a spiritual threshold, and once a chosen one crosses it, nothing, absolutely nothing, can revert them to who they used to be. This season is not about recovery. It is about rebirth. The humiliation ritual tried to convince you that your story was ending, but heaven used it to begin a new chapter that would have never opened without pressure, betrayal, or exposure. You were not destroyed, you were delivered. And now the path ahead of you is being carved by divine hands. In this next dimension, you will notice something profound. Your spirit is no longer attracted to anything that dishonors your identity. That is how you know elevation is real. The appetites of your old self have died. The triggers of your old pain no longer control you. You're not fighting for closure anymore. You're living in clarity. And clarity is the doorway to destiny. Chosen one. As you step into this new spiritual landscape, heaven wants you to understand that the blessings being released are not fragile. They are not at risk of being stolen, manipulated, or sabotaged like before. Why? Because God is not placing them in the same environment where you were once attacked. Everything connected to your elevation is being placed in a purified space, a space your enemies cannot enter, monitor, or contaminate. Your table is being set in a hidden realm, not in the presence of spectators. In this next phase, you will notice that God is not only restoring what you lost, He is restoring how you see yourself. Because the most dangerous damage the humiliation ritual attempted was not against your reputation. It was against your identity. They wanted you to question who you are. They wanted you to see yourself through the eyes of the people who mocked you. They wanted their lies to become your truth. But heaven intervened. And now the voice rising within you is not the voice of shame. It is the voice of remembrance. The remembrance of who you were before, wounds before betrayal, before the confusion. This inner restoration is not emotional. It is spiritual. You feel stronger, lighter, bolder, and quieter. Not because you learned new strategies, but because you reclaimed the parts of your spirit that humiliation tried to steal. This restoration of identity is what activates the supernatural transfer. God does not release abundance into a wounded identity. He releases abundance into a healed one. Now that your identity is aligned, your blessings have permission to manifest without delay. This is why everything suddenly feels accelerated. This is why opportunities that were once blocked are now opening. This is why people who once ignored you are now drawn to you. It is not coincidence, it is alignment. Your spirit is finally matching the frequency of your destiny. Chosen one. As you walk forward, heaven wants you to carry one truth with absolute conviction. You were never fighting for survival. You were fighting for the right to inherit what is yours. And you won. Not with noise, not with revenge, not with public responses, but with discernment, silence, and spiritual endurance. Your victory was quiet, but heaven saw it. And heaven is rewarding it. The life ahead of you is not a continuation of what was. It is a divine departure, a new spiritual timeline, a new identity, a new environment, a new dimension of clarity and wealth. You have not only survived the humiliation ritual, you have outgrown every battlefield that once held you captive. And now, chosen one, it is time to walk into the life that waited for you on the other side of awakening. Chosen one, as we come to the end of this message, let your spirit be still for a moment. You did not survive that humiliation ritual by accident. Heaven carried you through it, strengthened you in it, and crowned you after it. What tried to break you only revealed what was already written over your life. You are not standing in the ruins of a battle. You are standing in the doorway of a divine transfer. This is your Kairos moment, the moment where heaven moves, timelines shift, and what was withheld is released. Anointed One, the clarity you carry now is not ordinary. It is proof that your spirit has matured, your discernment has sharpened, and your identity has risen into alignment with your calling. The warfare is over. The confusion is broken. The shame has lifted. And now the blessings that belong to you can finally locate you without obstruction. So I speak this over you now. May doors open without resistance. May resources flow without delay. May divine helpers find you, honor you, and stand with you. May your path be straight, your mind be clear, and your heart be guarded. You are stepping into a season where heaven goes before you, surrounds you, and fights for you. If this word touched your spirit, chosen one, hold it close. Share it with someone who needs freedom. And if you feel led, leave a sign of agreement in the comments so this message continues to reach those who are awakening. Walk forward now with reverence. Walk forward with authority. Your rise has already begun.